He's one of the faces of CBS's March to Madness San Antonio, the road to San Antonio. Hall of Famer Charles Barkley back on the show. What do you see? Who do you see when you look at Cooper Flagg?
I see Cooper Flagg. I see he's a terrific young player. He looks amazing on television. Can't wait to see him in the NBA. I hate doing that. I hate when guys on television try to compare him. First of all, to say he's already somebody in the NBA is being unfair to that person in the NBA. What's scary, Dan, that kid should be a senior in high school. Now, that would be unfair. That would be, if he played in high school, that would be unfair. Some of the passes he was making last night was incredible. But I think we do a disservice to a lot of these guys. Like, I think Michael Jordan has killed more people than the plague. Well, they're like, this guy's the next Michael Jordan. I'm like, you don't turn out to be Michael Jordan. This kid is really talented. He's really smart. I can't wait to meet him. Seems like a really nice kid because he could have had, in my day we called a big head. He was the best high school player in the country. He came in with all the pressure on him, and he's lived up to the hype. He hasn't had any missteps. People out to get you when you're famous, especially when you're a 17, 18-year-old kid. But I'm not going to compare. First of all, it'd be a disservice to me to compare him to a great NBA player. But man, he's a pleasure to watch.
What about skills? Like not necessarily saying that he is that player, but like I see a little bit of Kevin Durant with mid-range jumper, like he can shoot the three.
Yeah.
So he's not Kevin Durant, but I do see, everybody's going to jump right to Larry Bird. Well, that's not fair to Bird, and it's not fair to Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
But the tendencies or their game.
I will tell you this. I thought he dominated the game last night with his passing. He scored a good amount of points, but his passing was the difference in the game. And every time they needed something, he made the play. His ability to off the dribble is incredible. It was incredible to watch because, I've been studying a lot of tape, but now when you see these guys in big moments, like that was probably their first big moment. I think that was the first team they played. They're like, oh, they got a chance to lose in this game. And he stepped up, man. It was beautiful to watch.
Who else has stood out in this tournament if you look at them at the next level playing in the NBA?
Well, the kid from Florida, Clayton, I just need to know what his size is. Because, all these guys, because if he's big enough, he's going to be a hell of a pro player because he's a terrific college player. The kid Brent at Nelson at Alabama, I think now I'm really looking forward to that matchup with him and Cooper because let me tell you something, that Nelson kid at Alabama is terrific, and Cooper, that's going to be a great matchup. I cannot wait to watch that matchup. Janai Broome at Auburn has been fantastic all year. I can't wait to watch that game. Michigan State is the most interesting team. They probably got about 3 or 4 guys who are going to play in the NBA who don't look like great college players. They're really, really good players. They don't jump off the screen like Cooper and those guys do. But Michigan State, their team is like, man, they're going to have 3 or 4 guys who I think going to play in the pros.
You start to look at the model now in college basketball. I don't know if it's just this year, but you're seeing less freshmen, aside from Duke, have an impact in March Madness. It's a lot of guys who were older, transfer portal. Do you think that is the next wave, that's where a lot of teams are going to say that's the blueprint?
Well, it's already out of hand with the transfer portal, Dan. First of all, let me just say this. The NCAA, they are the most stupid, idiotic people, jackasses in the world. Like, they've already ruined college sports with this NIL thing. And I'm not against players making money. It's just out of the wild, wild west right now. But to have the transfer portal in the middle of March Madness got to be one of the stupidest things that I've ever seen in my life. Just when you think they can't get any more stupid, they trump themselves and have the transfer portal in the middle of March Madness. And I think what you're seeing now is it's just free agency every year. The smaller schools are going to get less and less important because if you're a smaller player, they're just going to cherry pick you every year. Like if you went to a mid-major, if you have a good year, they're coming to get you because they're going to be able to pay more. So I don't know how this thing going to turn out. I just think the NCAA has screwed this thing up so much. I don't know how you put the toothpaste back in the tube. I've said this before. I think in 2 to 3 or 4 years, we're going to have 25 programs, and that's it. And listen, and I hear guys talking about a salary cap. The big schools ain't going to go for no salary cap. They have the most money. Why would the Dodgers want a salary cap? The Dodgers don't want a salary cap. You see all those other teams whining in baseball, and I'm like, is it unfair what the Dodgers are doing? I think it's 100% unfair what they're doing. But they don't. If I'm a football school like Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, I don't want a cap. I can pay the most money and get the best players.
The difference between the college game and the NBA game, watching it, which one is better to watch, in your opinion?
I think the college game is better to watch because, they're not just out there. They don't even look for twos anymore in the NBA. They don't even look for twos. It's like, hey, we're going to come to the gym. We're going to jack up the most threes. If we hit them, we're going to win. If we miss them, we're going to say, we didn't make enough shots tonight. We didn't make enough threes. But when they make them, it looks great. I'm like, yeah, it does look great if you make them. But that's the problem. If you're not making them, everybody says, man, y'all just shoot a lot of threes and it don't go in. But we got a lot of great players in the NBA. I've been very critical of some people not like what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is doing this year is incredible. I mean, last year people thought it was a fluke when the Thunder had the best record in the NBA. Now they doubled down like, nah, we are the best team in the NBA. They went out and plugged a couple holes they had with Caruso and Hartenstein. What the Cleveland Cavaliers are doing this year is flat out incredible. I mean, the Cleveland Cavaliers, like, I think they can beat the Boston Celtics. There's 3 teams that win the championship. The Thunder, the Celtics, and the Cavs. That's it. Everybody else just playing, they just getting participation trophies.
The Lakers' chances,
They got 0 chance. I told you that a month ago. People went crazy. People went crazy when they had like 2 good weeks. Dan, anytime you make a trade, you get a bump. They got a Luka bump. Now they're where they are. But I was like, no, the Lakers are not contenders. It drives me crazy. They won some games, and they were going to get a bump. You get Luka, you're going to get a bump. Same thing when Jimmy Butler got a bump when he went to the Warriors. But it's OKC world. And probably Denver's probably the second best team in the West. But listen, they're all playing for second place. Nobody can beat the Thunder. I don't see anybody beating the Thunder.
He's Charles Barkley, the Hall of Famer. Who had a better week, LeBron James or Stephen A. Smith?
They both had an awful week. LeBron, he's too big to be that type of bully. To bully Stephen A. and to bully Brian Windhorst. Brian Windhorst is a sweet person, man. He's just trying to do his thing. And I've always liked LeBron, but him being a bully, it turned me off, Dan. But I will say this, Stephen A., the way he reacted was so lame and weak. And Stephen A. is a good dude, man. For him to react, LeBron, like I say, I blame him for starting the bullying, going on Pat's show just bullying people. Because, LeBron, he's a control freak. He knows everything he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows everything he's doing. He knew when he walked up to Stephen A. what he was doing. But the way Stephen A. reacted, going on Gilbert's podcast, talking tough, and I said, come on, man, you're better than that. So there's only losers, Dan, in this scenario, us as the sports media. You got the biggest star in the game. You probably got the biggest star on television, and they both look bad, in my opinion. And what bothers me the most, they both good dudes. Like, I don't mind people who are an asshole looking bad. I don't mind that at all. They deserve it. But Stephen A is a good dude, and LeBron is a good dude. But they both look really bad this week. They both had a bad week, to answer your question. LeBron started it, and Stephen A, I'm not sure what he was trying to do. He just made it worse and worse and worse. And then I saw the thing last time, he had to come out and apologize for saying LeBron didn't go to Kobe's memorial. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Well, they both know what they're doing. They both get attention. They like attention.
The one thing you can always say about me, I ain't never had personal attacks on people. I've criticized people. That's part of our job, telling the truth. It can never be personal.
But are you searching for attention?
No.
They are.
Yeah, but it's not good attention. See the problem. Okay, that's a great thing you made. In my day, any publicity was good publicity. Remember that old saying?
Yeah.
But the problem now is when you put BS out there now, every Tom, Dick, and Harry and Louise got an opinion. And they're gonna make it worse. That's the problem with the day. Like I say, and I hate to talk about my day. In my old day, yeah, you got publicity, good or bad. It was actually probably a good thing. But the problem is every fool, idiot, and jackass got an opinion now because they got a computer. And that's what made this whole thing so bad. Because a lot of LeBron haters are on fire right now. The Stephen A haters are on fire right now. You can never give BS to the world because those people, they got no life, Dan. I told you, these people who live with their parents, they live in the basement, they don't have a job. All they do is sit around and click and talk about people on their computer. That's all they do. And the problem is, Stephen A is a good dude and LeBron's a good dude. And you're going to have fools and idiots talking bad about them. And that's the thing that sucks. But LeBron pissed me off when he went at Brian Windhorst. Because Brian Windhorst is a good person, man.
Yep.
I don't know him really, really well. But I think he got a pure heart. He's just trying to do his job. He's out here catching strays. You know what LeBron reminded me of? Remember in The Godfather, after Al Pacino left the funeral, he says, "We killed everybody today. We settled all the family business." That's what LeBron did when he went on Pat McAfee's show. He's like, when he sit my man down, he says, "I settled all the family business today. I killed everybody." That's what, when I was watching it, when I saw the replay, I was laughing at it. I said, "Oh, this is right out of The Godfather." He says, I settled all the family business today. And I'm like, come on, man. Stop taking shots at Stephen A. and Brian Windhorst.
Well, do you think everybody on the Lakers is fine what LeBron did for his son?
That's a great question. I don't think that matters. He did it. That kid, I wish him nothing but the best. He should be in the G League, getting better as a player. He should have been in the G League all year. I think it was a great story for them to go on the court together. But he should be in the G League. Dan, you don't get better sitting on the bench.
I agree. I wanted him to stay another year in college if he was going to. He needed to play after the health scares freshman year. Yes. But, this is where the problem started with LeBron and Stephen A., or the most recent one, is that you had Tyrese Maxey torching Bronny during a game. And Stephen A. came on the next day, and it was like it was LeBron's fault. He was telling LeBron how to be a dad, a father.
Well, I think you can interpret it like that. I think what Stephen, like I say, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for Stephen A. I'm only going to speak for myself. I think what he was really trying to say, hey, don't put that kid out there with them NBA grown men. Send him to the G League where he can get better as a player. You can interpret it any way you want to.
But J.J. Redick put him in the game. Do you think LeBron goes, hey, put him in on Tyrese Maxey torches just about everybody who guards him.
Yeah, but like I say, they shouldn't have put him in that situation. He should have been in the G League all season.
I agree. But that's that's the trigger. If you start talking about LeBron as a father, that's different. That's not. I can be critical of Bronny in his game.
Yeah, but
I can't.
Listen, man. LeBron's a. Oh, I shouldn't say. I don't know what kind of father LeBron. LeBron seemed like. First of all, I've always said this: the difference between Michael Jordan, Kobe. The three best basketball players I've ever seen are Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James. Those are the three best basketball players I've ever seen. I said the difference between those first two guys, nobody ever said they were nice guys. They're going to kill your ass and ain't nothing you can do about it. They're going to kill you and stomp on your grave. LeBron might stomp on you, but he's going to apologize for it. He's a nice man. That's the difference. LeBron is a nice guy. That's why I didn't like the fact, because he really came off as a bully in this entire thing, and that's not who he is.
Yeah, but Stephen A., he should have said, J.J. Redick, don't put Bronny James out there.
What Stephen A. should have did is say, hey, LeBron came to me and said this. I'm going to respect that. He came to me as a father. That should have been the end of it. When Stephen A. went on the other podcast as a tough guy, that's, I think, what triggered LeBron again.
Do you think he would have gotten into a fight? If LeBron put his hands on Stephen A. said he was going to be throwing punches.
Well, Dan, I think sometimes, okay, let me give you an example. I don't think I can beat Shaq in a fight. But when he touched me in front of 20,000 people, I'm going to swing. If a grown man touches you in front of a crowd, you 100%, even if you're going to get your ass kicked. Like when Shaq did that, I had to make a split-second decision. Man, it's 20,000 people saw him put hands on me. I got to swing. There's times. First of all, I'm not condoning fighting. Anybody fighting past 25 is a loser anyway. Okay, let's get that out the way. Any grown person who fights, you're just a loser. But in certain scenarios, like if somebody, if LeBron touches that dude in front of a crowd, even if he gonna kick his ass, you got to defend yourself to let those 20,000 people know you ain't no punk.
No, you can't throw punches at a game.
So you gonna let another man hit you?
I've said
you gonna let another man hit you in front of 20,000 people?
LeBron's not hitting Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, and so Stephen A. shouldn't have said it.
I know, but he says if he puts his hands on me.
That's why this is when Stephen A. started screwing up. All Stephen A. had to say was, LeBron came to me and said, don't talk about my son. Don't talk about my son. That would have been the end of it. But like I say, he goes on Gilbert's podcast talking tough and everything. Then he goes on his podcast talking tough. And I think that triggered LeBron.
Yeah, well.
All he had to do was say, hey, you know what? LeBron came to me. He didn't swing on me. He came to me man to man and said, stop. If Stephen A. had left it right there, we wouldn't even be having. Now we're going on week 3.
How long would the fight last between Stephen A. and LeBron?
I hope somebody gets to Stephen A. and say, yo, man, stop it. Dan, you do know the number one rule of sports business is don't become the story. That's rule number one.
Oh, we're well past that. That's the old days. I know. That's not the way it is anymore.
I understand that. But you never, as a reporter.
I know.
You never, you know, come on, Dan.
I know. I'm old school. Don't put your hands on me. I'll swing at you.
You got to. Especially in a crowd, Dan. Dan, you automatically have to fight the crowd.
Okay. All right. Have fun tonight, all right?